welcome back to Where is the Money? So the money is not with the economy. There's a brand new national poll that Americans now feel that Biden's economy is better than Trump's economy. I know. It's hard to believe, but people are saying, even on the Republican side now, that Biden's economy was way better than Trump.
Take a look. The president's net approval is +5 on his handling of the southern border. That's his big issue there. And it's down, but still positive. Turned negative on deporting illegal immigrants, improved a bit on foreign policy, but it's still negative. And it's turned substantially, Becky, more negative on tariffs. You can see there, the president remains deeply underwater on this issue, inflation and the cost of living. Not doing well there. I was surprised by these results. I'll tell you why. One is I don't see the economy as that bad.
No.
In the overall economic data.
All-time highs.
We live in this milieu where we come in other than the last couple days, and the stock market's up and everybody's buoyant. That's not the case when you talk to average Americans here, according to this poll, when it comes to the economy. They're down on jobs and they're down on inflation, and they really dislike these tariffs.
I was listening to a conversation with Christopher Waller yesterday, and he made some really interesting points just about how the labor market is probably much weaker than we anticipate. And I know that we've talked around some of these issues, the feeling of participation being down. But because we are losing basically people in this country at this point, zero immigration, if you look net,
right.
That if you were to keep it at those consistent levels, we'd probably be more at a 5% unemployment rate. And that might be something. That's why he thinks we need to cut rates more quickly and is kind of sticking out for that. But if that's the case, it would help explain why people don't feel so good about this economy.
Now let's start off with the everyday inflation situation you would experience in your everyday travel, in your day-to-day life. Let's say you get in your car and the battery's dead. Okay, then you gotta go on down to AutoZone or the parts store, get a brand new battery. How much are you expecting to pay? Maybe $100, $150, depending on the car. Well, this person had quite a shocker when he purchased a new battery.
Also, I went to go get a battery for my car today. Holy Trumpflation. This shit is worse than Biden. Y'all cucks really convinced yourselves that Bidenflation was enough to vote for Donald Trump when he turned around and did that shit 10 times worse and is continuing to do that shit 10 times worse. $250 for a battery. $250 was the cheapest battery I could find. That shit used to be like $120. Now $120 gets you a lawnmower battery. Trump fucking inflation, holy shit. But shout out 40BN to Argentina. Let's go. I'm so happy we're spending money on other countries instead of our own fucking people, you stupid cucks.
So maybe you're looking at this information and thinking to yourself, hey, them liberals are just lying. It's no way Biden's economy is better than Trump, even with the tariffs. Well, even the Republicans is coming to terms with this concept. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a devout Republican, is now saying the same thing.
Are you concerned about the cost of living? Are you
Very.
That the President Trump said he would lower?
The inflation crushed people in the past 4.5 years, and the costs have not come down. I myself can tell you my apartment here in Washington, D.C., the electricity bill is $100 more than it was last year, because you can look at your own bill and look at costs. Prices have not come down. That is a reality. People's wages have not gone up. That's another reality. And so Americans are continuing to have a very difficult time getting by. And I'll go a step further. I'm a mom. And so when it comes to what is affecting my adult children's lives, who are 22, 26, and 28, I'm going to be 1,000% fighting for them over any politician and any party. And I can tell you right now, that generation, they are barely making it, and they're very hopeless for their future.
So let's give Trump the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's say the tariff thing, that's a one-off. Let's say the whole government shutdown is working against them, and the Doge thing and the layoffs, that's skewing the numbers, right? Okay, so let's do a deep dive in all the major categories. That's unemployment, that's GDP growth, that's inflation, across the board. Let's get a comparison of both presidency across these areas of the economy.
Republicans say that Trump is inheriting inheriting a terrible economy from Joe Biden, but they need a reality check because that is not true. Let's start with job growth. Prior to the pandemic, Donald Trump added 6.7 million jobs. Joe Biden has added 16.2 million jobs. Even when you completely take out the pandemic, Joe Biden still did better than Donald Trump on jobs. In fact, Joe Biden is on track to be the only president in American history to have job growth every single month of his presidency. Now let's talk about unemployment. Donald Trump likes to say that he had the lowest unemployment rate in American history, but Joe Biden broke that record in January of 2023 with a 3.4% unemployment rate, the lowest of all time. What about just net worth for middle-class families? This is Donald Trump, this is Joe Biden. Joe Biden created more net worth for the average family. What about GDP? You'll notice a theme here. Donald Trump, 7.8% growth. Joe Biden, 11.8% growth. Joe Biden, yet again, better. Now let's talk about inflation, every Republican's favorite talking point. This is global inflation, not the United States, just global inflation. As you can see, right when it peaked for us, it peaked for everybody else in the entire world because inflation was a global supply chain problem. That was our peak in 2022 at 9.1%, and this is us now at 2.7%, which is right in the target range of what we want to see for a healthy economy. So Joe Biden presided over inflation getting fixed. Unfortunately, nobody understands that because the Democrats did a terrible job messaging on it, but inflation is fixed, and Joe Biden was no small part in that. So this idea that the economy is terrible and needs to be fixed is complete and utter bullshit. How the economy feels to the average person is just a fundamental misunderstanding of how inflation and prices work. And unfortunately for Trump, he's going to learn that the hard way when he can't fix it either.
So it seems either way you look at it, however you decide to slice it, it's coming back to the same situation, which is Trump is doing terrible with the economy, and that is the main thing he ran on. People were tired of Bidenflation and felt like the Biden inflation was messing up everything and the economy was bad. But now 8 to 10 months in Trump's economy, it's even worse, and we didn't even think it could get worse.
Breaking news, Marjorie Taylor Greene keeps telling the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Now she went on CNN and said she admitted Trump's economy is worse than Biden's economy. Now let's take that. Biden had inflation under 2% when he left. Trump had it over 10%. We was not in an economic recession. We're in an economic recession now, and everything is super high. Marjorie Taylor Greene just told the truth. She just told the truth. It was worse under Donald Trump. Easy. But for a Republican to say that, that wasn't easy. But she said it because it's the truth. And she wants to win re-election again in 2026. Now, you know I don't report the news, but Marjorie Taylor Greene say, hell with it, I'm telling the truth. I ain't gonna lie. Trump's economy is worse than Biden's economy. Anybody can see that. Just open up your eyes. We're in an economic recession and a government shutdown, and everything is super high.
What do you make of this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? You tell me. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where is the Money? Talk to you soon.